YouTube fans. This is Matt of Post April 6 YouTube channel. You want to hear a good story? I got a really good one. But the guy who gets caught and put in jail is a bad, bad, bad man. Oh, yeah. He was, well, I'm not going to say anything further because I'm giving the whole story away. Okay, so why don't I start out giving details about the person who was the victim, not the suspect, and when this happens. I'll start first with when this happens. It happens about July 6th, 1983. Somewhere between 6 and 7 p.m. And where this happens is on the side of the street of South Ivy Way near South Ivy in Hampton, and it's also right next to Interstate 25, I-25, Colorado, Denver, Colorado. Okay. The victim is Suzanne. She likes to be called Suzy. Afton, A-F-T-O-N, and it's on the 3300 block of South Ivy Way. And on her side of the street, there's a neat little 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, which is her home. Her date of birth, because nowadays she'd be almost 87, but back then she was 44 years old, due to the fact she was born on May 2nd, 1939. She was not born in Denver or elsewhere in the state of Colorado. She was born in I think it's pronounced Galena, or Galena, G-A-L-E-N-A, Illinois. The car that she owned was a 1981 Fortune Yellow, because I looked this up, this is a verified color for Saab 900 cars. And the upholstery inside the car for the seats were high-grade leather, white, 2 bucket seats up front, and the back seat, which was, I believe, a bench seat. Her means of income was a company called Johnston and Cisneros CPA Firm LLC. And she earns $43,700 a year. And well, let's talk a little bit about her love life. At the time that she was where this incident occurred on July 6th, she wasn't married, because she got divorced many years ago, before this. Or many years before this, I should say. She was previously married to a man named Kenneth Stephen Afton. That's how she got her last name. And he was 2 years younger. He was born September 21st, 1941 in Berwyn, Illinois. And he liked to be called Ken. And their marriage only lasted 5 years, until September 23rd, 1969, because the two of them got into a very nasty argument where she really had several complaints about his personal habits, that she did not like him being the personal habits were really annoying her. And he got upset, and he just said, okay, if you don't like the way I'm doing things, then I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm leaving you. And that made her feel even more hurt, and she finally just said, yeah, she's crying. She's like, I don't want to be a part of this. Okay. So you're going to go out? You're going to go to your friends? What are you going to do? I'm leaving. I'm going over to my friend's house. She'll make me feel better. Okay. I'll be gone in less than a couple of hours. And he grabs a suitcase and he starts packing up. And he packs up some of his personal belongings that he wants to take with him. And he goes and gets a hotel. And he gets the hell out of there. On February 9th, 1970, their divorce became final. And the viewer of this vlog may be thinking, so how long did Suzy live in Denver? Okay. Well, since March 17th, St. Patrick's Day of 1975. She moved to Denver after leaving Portland, Oregon. While she lived in Portland, Oregon, she was a bookkeeper and financial auditor of a Ramada hotel. And she decided to move to Denver because Denver was more her pace of life, and it was a good big city, and in some ways it reminded her of good old Illinois. The people were friendlier. And where she moved to was some townhomes that were a few blocks away from Monaco and near Exposition Avenue in the part of southeast Denver that'd be fairly close to the north end of the city and county Denver metro area. And she lived there till April of 1979, and after that she got the ownership of the South Ivy Way nice 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single-family home that she got at a very good price. We're talking less than $44,000. Yeah, because see, back then you could do that. Now it's going to be at least $544,000. And the viewer may be saying, did she ever have any children? The answer is yes and no. Here's what the yes and no means. At some point in the year 1973, when she was roughly about 34 years old, a man she was dating, she wound up getting pregnant. And she was pregnant for 4 months until she had a bad miscarriage. I mean, she immediately called 911 and had the paramedics take her away. And the miscarriage was so bad that she had a hysterectomy. Unfortunately, it's true. And her financial reserves, because she had such a good head for money, She had $7,790.27 or 29 cents in a savings account, and she had $3,109.08 in an interest-bearing money market personal checking account. Both of the accounts were with American National Bank, because America National Bank was in existence back then. So, why don't we talk about the bad guy? The guy who had an interest in committing AASDI, which is aggravated assault, serious bodily injury suspect. He became that type of suspect. His name was Franklin Gerber. No, let me start over. Franklin Mason Gerber. And him and the late, super sick in the head, super disgusting Charles Manson were both born on November 12th, 1934. Manson was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. At least that's what Wikipedia says. And Franklin was born in Norwood, Ohio, which is near Cincinnati and part of the Cincinnati metro area. Religion. He was a Mormon for quite some time until he disliked the church and he stopped attending. Employment history of Franklin. From 1970 to 1976, he was a floor supervisor for the household goods department of a Kmart that was most likely in or near Norwood, Ohio. And after he quit that job, and he gets hired as an unarmed security guard at a hospital located in Springfield, Missouri. After he moved out there, he worked as an unarmed security guard from 1976 until a certain day in January of 1980. And then what happened is he really got into an argument with a security guard who was a new coworker who was doing a lousy job. He was called in by the management and he was terminated. They were both terminated because of the argument they got in and because the security guard that he chewed out was sloppy and not paying attention and not doing a very good job at all. Then he moves to Denver, Colorado. And a location located on Yale and South Colorado Boulevard that was, I'm pretty sure back then it was in Albertsons. He got hired as a front-end manager, and he did that from 1980 to 1982, and then he got promoted to become an assistant store manager. And he did that from February of 1982 until July 2nd of 1983. And he got fired from that job too, because he did something really dumb. He comes into work all nice and dressed up in a nice, clean, white dress shirt and a necktie and nice dress pants, but he's drunk. I mean, he's really drunk because he drank so much the night before. He was loaded. And as soon as he walks into the general manager's office, Little did he know that not only was the general manager there, but there was also a district manager and a regional manager there. And all three of them gave him a crusty look. And they said to him, okay, don't bother to sit down. Go next door to the conference room. We'll be with you in a few minutes. And after they talked for about 10 minutes, all three of them come into the conference room and they notify him that he's terminated for coming to work intoxicated. And then what happens is Suzy, after she had a delicious salad at a new restaurant, she rushes to the bathroom because she's really got to, go to the bathroom. And she's in the bathroom for about at least 10 to 15 minutes because a lot comes out. Because she'd been plugged up bad for about 3 days. And she was constipated. Forgive me for saying those type of words, but it happens to both men and women. And shortly after she is done in the bathroom, and shortly after she washed her hand, she goes into the kitchen and she wants to have an ice cream bar. But right as she opens up the freezer to get out the ice cream bar, the phone rings. So she shuts the door of the freezer. She walks over to the wall-mounted ITT desktop touch-tone phone, and she goes, hello, 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 and she hears a car drive by, and then about 10 seconds later, she hears a car drive past Hamden. It's a loud Fiat that's really driving fast. It has a lot of horsepower. It sounds like a hot rod. And then she says, "Who's calling me? Why are you calling me? And what is it you want? Hello? Hello? I know you're there." And the guy says in a really angry tone of voice, "You're not gonna know." And he hangs it and he slams the phone down. He made the phone call from a payphone that was at the Howard Johnson Hotel. Yep. Then what she does is she runs out down the street about 3-4 houses that way, and she's looking around, and then she's looking over at the hotel, which that direction is a Marriott Southeast. She can't see anybody standing by the window looking like they're scoping things out. And she looks over that way at the field that is in between where the row of houses end, and there's a field, and then there's I-25. And I-25 is busy. I mean busy. Even at that time of night. She runs back into her house. She calls Denver police. And 15 to 20 minutes later, she hears a knock on the door. She knows who it is. It's Denver police. A patrolman who's a sergeant, and a man who is wearing a polo shirt with a detective badge on. Question her, and they fill out a report and they have her sign it. And she is so creeped out, she strongly considered leaving the house and staying at a hotel that is on Colorado Boulevard that she likes. I mean, she's never been in there, but she's visited a couple of friends of hers that came to visit her and been in there for a couple hours, visiting with a good friend of hers who lives in near Galena, Illinois. And then she's like, nah, that may not do any good. So eventually, after about 11, somewhere between 11:30 and midnight, she gets into her nightgown, goes to sleep. And she doesn't, she has an alarm, she has a good clock radio alarm clock that is a good GE clock radio alarm clock, but she doesn't set the alarm because she has such a good, what's called an internal alarm, that she knows when to wake up. She wakes up at about 7:30, 7:45. She takes a shower, and while she's showering and shaving her legs, she hears the phone ring again. She's like, no, I'll let the answering machine get it. Right past the greeting, there's a hang-up. It's Franklin. Yeah, he's sick in the head. He's a practicing alcoholic. He's messed up. So then she goes to work, and then after about 3:30 or 4, she's the only one in the office space, and she's typing away some stuff on a IBM. It's probably either a 256 or a 386 CPU, and the phone rings. On the second ring, she picks up. She goes, hello, hello, and he goes, hello, hello, in a drunken slur. And then she says, this is Johnston and Cisneros CPA firm. I'm a CPA. Can I help you? He goes, no. Or he goes, no, I did the wrong number. Bye. And he hangs up the phone. Like, and she presses pound, she presses star, and I think it would be 681 or 682. And she gets the operator on. She says, okay, I cannot tell you the phone number, but I can tell you this much. It was from a payphone. And then Suzy says, well, what do you want me to write down? And she says it was at this time, and it was, and here's a 4-digit, here's a 6-digit referral code. That's all I can give you, because if I give you any other information, I will lose my job as a telephone operator. She said, okay, thank you very much. And then she hangs up the phone. Then she calls Denver police. and she speaks to the detective. And the detective says, okay, thank you for letting me know this. It may have just been someone else who's intoxicated who did not call the right phone number, but it could be the suspect. He says, I'm going to have some technicians at Denver Police look into this. And then she's working there, and then what she does is she grabs her briefcase and puts a couple of things in her briefcase, and she puts on her blazer business coat, her lady's suit coat, her blazer, and she signs out on the thing that what time she checked out for the day. And right as she is about to walk out, the phone rings again. And she's like, oh no, not again. And she goes, hello. And she says, Suzy Afton? He says, yeah. This is Detective Dennis Barker. He says, oh yeah, we met a couple of days ago. What would you like to tell me? Well, I cannot tell you the name of the suspect, but the call was made from a payphone at Howard Johnson. Oh really? What's the phone number? Ma'am, I can't tell you. I'm sorry. If I do that, I'm doing something that's in violation of a law enforcement officer's conduct. I can't tell you. I'm sorry about that. Well, what are we going to do? Do you want me to change my phone number? She says, that's not going to do any good. But what we are going to do is we're going to have as soon as you get home, we're going to have a technician go over to the nearby junction box, and we're going to put in a special trace system. She says, okay, that's fine. So she leaves there. She goes through Wendy's drive-thru that would be nearby. And she normally doesn't like to do this, but she's really hungry. And she carefully, with the burger in the wrapper, she takes a few bites until it kind of gets cold, and then when she gets to the traffic, the red traffic stoplight, she wraps up, puts it in a bag quick, so she can she can put it in gear, drive. And then she drives home, and she looks around the area really closely before she presses the garage door to shut the garage door. And she puts the fries and what's left of the other half of the burger in the microwave on a plate. She finishes eating the cheeseburger with pickles, lettuce, and tomato, ketchup, and mustard, and the fries. And she drinks what's left of the it's either Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke. And then there's the phone rings. It's Denver Police. And she says, okay, we're going to be coming over in about 5 to 10 minutes. Please don't go anywhere. She says, no. I'll let you in. She says, thank you. We'll be, like I said, we'll be there in 5 to 10 minutes. I better go now. And then about 8 minutes later, she hears a knock on the door. She lets the policeman in. And he goes, and he undoes the phone and he looks everything over and he makes a couple of adjustments. And then he goes, and he puts the wall mount on. And then he looks at the duo phone and he unscrews the phone jack where the duo cordless phone is hooked up to. And he makes a couple of adjustments. And he adds a little electronic device. And then he puts it in, and then he says, okay, this phone line is heavily under surveillance. If you do not feel comfortable staying here and you want to stay with a friend, or if you want to stay at a hotel or whatever you'd like to do, let us know right away where that will be and what the contact phone number is. So, okay, thank you. And he writes down a little reference number on a business card, and then he leaves. Well, she turns on the television, and there's nothing good on TV, so she stops the TV. She turns the TV to the part where where she can turn on the VCR, and she puts it in a movie. I'm pretty sure Marilyn Monroe is in this one. It's called How to Marry a Millionaire. And she pops it in and she watches it. And she watches the movie start to finish. And then after about 11:15, somewhere between 11:15 and 11:20, she's really feeling tired. She knows she's got to go to sleep. So she gets in her nightgown and she says a prayer to the Lord, asking for his help. And then she sleeps until about 7 in the morning. And she lays in bed for about another 10 to 15 minutes. And then she gets up, goes to the bathroom, and then she showers and shaves her leg and gets all ready to go to work. She goes into the kitchen. She makes 1 over easy egg, a bowl of oatmeal, and she toasts a really nice bagel with a little bit of cream cheese on it. And she uses the microwave to do one little thing of I believe it would be Taster's Choice instant coffee, because she doesn't want to make a pot of coffee and then leave it there and then come back, and then when she gets back from work, the coffee is going to taste like crap. And she goes to work. She has a nice luncheon with Cisneros and Johnston. And then they come back and then they do some more work, and she leaves the place a little after about 5, somewhere between 5:30 and 5:45. And she gets back to the house, and she calls a good friend of hers, and then she looks outside from from the screen, from the sliding door that would lead to the background. And she can see somebody wandering around. And she ends the call nicely, and she calls Denver police. Denver police show up right on time. And she can see a policeman chasing somebody, and he's tackled and he's placed under arrest. After he's arrested and handcuffed and placed in the car, she hears the phone ring. It's from another patrolman. And he says, Miss Afton, is this you? And she says, yes. This is Denver Police, right? She says, how do you know? Or he says, how do you know that? He said, I could hear your radio in the back. I could hear police radio in the background. Oh. And then she says, what would you like to talk with me about? She says, oh, yes, I better talk with you about this, shouldn't I? We have arrested, placed under arrest, the man who was likely going to be the suspect of what he had planned to do to you. Wait a minute. What do you mean had planned to do to you? Well, okay, let me make things a little more clearly. It's the man who placed a phone call from where you suspected he made the phone call all along. The payphone in the parking lot of the Howard Johnson Hotel. And what he was planning to do was jump over your fence, and he was going to he had with him a metal pipe and a snub nose .357 Magnum that was loaded with 6 rounds plus an additional 4 rounds in the front left part of one of his pockets in his pants. And she's like, oh my God, he was going to try to kill me? Yes, ma'am. If he wasn't going to do that, he was going to kidnap you. Who is he? I would really like to tell you, but it is against police procedure and code of conduct as me as a policeman to tell you over the phone. May I come over to your house? Yes, please do. I'd like to know more. Okay. I'll be there in about 5 to 10 minutes. And she really starts to cry because she's shaking. She's shook up. And she runs to the bathroom because I really don't like to say things like this, she almost peed her pants because she was so scared. And then right after she is done in the bathroom, and she just finished washing her hands, and she's walking out of the restroom towards the living room, she hears a knock on the door. She knows who it is. And she even cautiously looked into the parking lot. She sees a police patrol car. And she opens up the door. And it is a patrolman who is a nice man, but he's tall. He is at least 6'5", and it's got a nice mustache. And his wristwatch right here is a U.S. Army wristwatch that only tells, it's a digital watch that only tells military time. Yes. And she says, we sit over here at the dining table. Says, sure. And she shows him a picture of the suspect, Franklin Mason Gerber. And she shows him, or no, he shows her, excuse me, a photograph of his driver's license, but the address of the driver's license is blacked out. They have to do it that way. And she says, okay, or no, good Lord. He says to her, he says, are you comfortable living here? And she says yes. And then she says, how long do you think until he's formally charged? The officer says, he's due to be arraigned in court tomorrow. He will be formally charged. And then she says, how long do you think he'll do in prison? At least 3 years. Because he has 3 unpaid parking tickets that he has not paid money on. And some other charges. And after he is released, he will be not allowed to own any type of firearm except for a .177 BB gun. He cannot shoot long guns, rifles, shotguns, or shoot any type of handgun ever, because if he does, he's going to have serious charges filed against him, and he's going to be incarcerated in state prison. And then she shakes hands with him, and she cries, and he gives her, and it's careful how he does it. He gives her a little bit of a hug, and steps away from her, and then that's it. The charges that wind up being filed against him, it's 4 different charges. And he's incarcerated in one of the Colorado state prisons for 3 years and 7 months. They got him good. And he has a he has a 7-year restraining order where he cannot enter Albertsons grocery stores until July 31st, 1990. That's all Albertsons stores in the United States. You can't go to any one of them. Well, that's the end of this story. Thank you, everyone. And goodbye now. Thanks a lot.